United States. The survivor of Interstate 880 fights for his life. And in Honduras, at least 132 perish in a plane crash. This is NBC Nightly News, reported by Garrick Utley. Good evening. You recall the recent coup attempt against General Noriega of Panama, which failed. You are aware of President Bush's reasons for not intervening. Well, today, new information from the White House. President Bush complaining that he could not move against Noriega even if he wanted to because his hands had been tied by secret agreements with Congress. Those secrets have now been leaked in Washington. Andrew Mitchell has this exclusive report.
NBC News has learned that under classified guidelines agreed to by the Reagan White House and the Senate Intelligence Committee, and still operative, the United States would have had to, in effect, warn Noriega or any other foreign leader of an impending coup that could have endangered his life. In fact, the guidelines go so far as to require the United States to guarantee Noriega's safety. Congressional sources say President Bush complained bitterly about these restrictions in a meeting last Tuesday with Republican senators, going so far as to read sections of a classified 1988 letter from the Senate Intelligence Committee to the Reagan White House. Those present said the language would tie the president's hands in the event of a coup, require that the U.S. notify Noriega in advance, and guarantee Noriega's safety. But while Bush was blaming the Senate Intelligence Committee for, in his words, micromanaging foreign policy, congressional sources said those restrictions had been supported by the Reagan White House in letters to the Intelligence Committee from former National Security Advisor Colin Powell and CIA Director William Webster. Both now serve in the Bush administration. Before the coup attempt, the Bush White House never asked for changes. This despite the fact that Bush's policy since May has been to encourage the Panamanian Defense Force to overthrow Noriega.
We'd love to see him get him out. We'd like to see him out of there.
No, I would add no words of caution. The will of the people should be implemented.
A leading member of the Intelligence Committee says Bush's reading of the classified restrictions to Senate Republicans Dole, Kasten, Lugar, Mack, McCain, Simpson, and Wallop, some of them without intelligence clearance, comes close to a violation of law, and that the American people are being misled by the highly selective nature of these leaks. Intelligence Committee Chairman David Boren told NBC News there are ambiguities in the record, both from the congressional end and from executive branch policy statements. It's time to stop bickering and work together to develop a clear and appropriate policy to help the country in the future. Before reviewing the record and rereading the Reagan-era letters, Boren had denied that Congress was limiting U.S. action against Noriega.
The Senate Intelligence Committee has never turned down President Bush on any matters related to this subject in Panama, nor have we ever denied him any funds.
Boren told NBC News that he and the president were dismayed to discover ambiguities in the orders covering coups and assassinations. Both agree the policy needs to be rewritten immediately. In fact, NBC News has been told that the Senate Intelligence Committee has already started drafting new secret guidelines to give the president more flexibility. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Washington.
We will have other news of the day and the world, including a status report on Buck Helm, the survivor of Interstate 880. And this was Candlestick Park in San Francisco today. No football game this afternoon and no World Series on Tuesday. It's been postponed again. Sports has taken a timeout.
Lyndon Johnson, George Orwell, Chris Christopherson, George C. Scott, Plato, Clara Barton, Annie Sullivan, D.H. Lawrence, Booker T. Washington, Aristotle, Albert Einstein, and my mother and father. Throughout history, in every field of human endeavor, whenever men and women achieve greatness, they share it with others by becoming teachers. Here's to everyone who can and does. The more you know about anything, the more likely you are to teach.
Hey, Brian. Dunks. Listen, want to get high? I got some great stuff. No, thanks, Mike. That Dunk's bad news.
Smart kid. He doesn't need that stuff. Nobody does. I'm McGruff, the crime dog. Now, watch these kids.
I'm bored. Let me get wasted.
Why don't you get real?
I've got a better idea. Why don't you get lost?
See that? It's happening everywhere. So, if anyone ever wants to turn you on, just turn them off. It's a great way to help take a bite out of crime.
Buck Helm is a lucky man, but he's not out of danger yet. Doctors in Oakland say he is still in critical condition. Their prognosis is, quote, guarded. Their way of saying, we can't promise anything. Helm lived almost 4 days under the twisted steel and concrete of Interstate 880. It's quite possible others, too, have survived, but no victims, dead or alive, were found today. Still, the search, of course, goes on in the rubble of the earthquake. Here's a report from Don Oliver.
Rescue workers say that finding Helm alive and pulling him out through this small hole cut in the Pancake Freeway has bolstered morale and the hope that more will be found alive.
Everyone's been going as fast as they can. There's been no increase in the rescue effort, no decrease in the rescue effort. Everything's been done at maximum speed.
This afternoon, the 57-year-old longshoreman's condition was basically unchanged from yesterday. Critical but stable. Helm is undergoing kidney dialysis, and doctors are worried about the possibility of infection.
No one has a great deal of experience in treating patients that have been trapped under bridges for 4 days, so it's not like there's an enormous amount of surgical literature generated on this subject, but I think that the expectation would be that he would be worse than he is.
38 bodies have been recovered from the rubble of Interstate 880, none of them today. Workmen are forced to move very carefully because the structure is extremely unstable, moving and shifting all the time. There's one stretch of the freeway that's been inaccessible so far. The two decks are pancaked so tightly together, they haven't been able to see inside. Today, they were drilling holes to lower microphones for any possible human sounds. The New Jerusalem Baptist Church is just 3 blocks from the Pancake Freeway. The congregation shared their grief today for the earthquake victims and tried to find some comfort.
Tuesday, at 5 o'clock, and about 5 minutes after, there was a great earthquake. Just think about all the buildings, oh Lord, that began to reel and to rock. Go ahead now.
Don Oliver, NBC News, Oakland.
Our modest little sporting event. That is what Baseball Commissioner Fay Vincent called the World Series in the shadow of the earthquake. He had hoped to resume play the 3rd game in San Francisco on Tuesday, but it will not be. Friday is now the scheduled date. Had there been no earthquake, Candlestick Park today would have been filled with cheering fans at a football game, but sports, like so much of normal life, has been put on hold. Here's Bob Jameson.
Workmen were in the stands at Candlestick Park today, continuing their rush effort to repair the earthquake damage. The fans who should have been there for pro football were 35 miles south at Stanford Stadium, where the 49ers game against New England had been shifted.
Red Cross donation.
More than 60,000 came to the first public event since the tragedy, remembered before the contest began.
We ask you to bow your heads for a moment of silence in memory of the victims of our recent earthquake.
Happy finally to focus on something other than the earthquake, most fans were also eager for the World Series to resume.
I think it's good for the morale, I really do.
I think the game should be played. I think it will be a good diversion for the folks.
But at a crowded press conference, San Francisco Mayor Art Agnos and Baseball Commissioner Fay Vincent were announcing a delay of the plan to resume the series on Tuesday.
And we have agreed, he and I, that baseball should resume with enthusiasm at Candlestick Park this coming week. But we've also agreed that Tuesday was too ambitious.
Agnos vetoed the Tuesday resumption, worrying it would add to San Francisco's problems, and he's still concerned about Candlestick.
I have to have an ironclad assurance that this facility is safe for people to use. Otherwise, the commissioner, neither the commissioner nor I would even consider having any ball games there.
Preliminary reports on Candlestick's structural condition have been good, and final reports will be ready tomorrow. The Giants, who worked out there today, and their manager, Roger Craig, think the series is a necessary milepost in the Bay Area's recovery.
We can't quit and just keep thinking about all the tragedy that's happened. We've got to go on with our lives, with our families, with our jobs, with everything involved. It's going to take this city, this Bay Area, a while to recover from this, and the sooner we start recovering, the better off we all going to be.
Officials believe the series will resume Friday, but no one, not even Roger Craig, expects it will be the same. Bob Jameson, NBC News, San Francisco.
And in case the earthquake has shaken your memory, Oakland is leading in the series 2-0. Mark Twain once said this about disasters, quote, sired by a hurricane, damned by an earthquake. The time and place were different, of course, but what he wrote could be the slogan today of those who have had to deal with the aftermath of Hugo and the aftershocks of California. And there is a small, obscure federal agency which is doing just that. Not as well as it should be, according to some critics. Here's Robert Hager.
When Tuesday's earthquake pulled the rug from under the Bay Area, it was another huge blow to FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, already hit hard by Hurricane Hugo. The hurricane and the damage it brought last month to Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the Carolinas is expected to reach $5 billion. And estimates on devastation from the earthquake go as high as that and even more. FEMA has allocated an initial $273 million for the quake damage, this from a pool of $1.1 billion approved by Congress right after Hugo. But that's not nearly enough to deal with the quake. California Congressman Vic Fazio.
That pot is there because of Hurricane Hugo. And certainly we don't have any intention of beggaring our neighbors in the Carolinas or the Caribbean. We need to replenish that pot so there's enough there to take care of all the disasters that currently have befallen this country.
Good morning, FEMA.
FEMA admits that after Hugo hit, it was slow to react. There were problems getting enough generators, and FEMA took more than 2 weeks to open local field offices in some counties. But FEMA's Greg Chappell says the mistakes won't be repeated.
We learned that we may have missized the magnitude of the event of Hugo, and certainly we learned also that our capabilities were very stretched to deal with recurring and individual events such as this that occur almost simultaneously.
For the earthquake, the agency moved faster to set up a phone bank with an 800 number to help those affected by the quake. Victims can be approved for aid by telephone. The first field offices open today, but that's faster than after the hurricane. And FEMA will provide grants of up to $10,000 per family and low-cost loans to cover uninsured private and business losses.
In the next few days, the Bush administration is expected to work up a figure on what it believes the federal government should pay toward California relief. Already, Democrats are talking about from $2.5 to $3 billion. In any event, Congress is expected to move quickly to get a bill on the president's desk and help on its way to victims. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
There's something you have that you need every moment of your life. But if you give it away, you'll never miss it. It's common, yet precious. Costs nothing to produce, but it's priceless. And even though you need it to live, you'll feel better when you give it away. It's blood. And now more than ever, the American Red Cross needs healthy donors. Give blood, please.
Carol.
Tom.
Some people still don't realize how space technology benefits everyone.
Well, you've played a detective. Why don't you give him a clue and I'll be your helper?
Okay, partner. Look at this.
Without warning, hurricanes can take a huge toll in lives and property.
But with space satellites, we now have ample warnings.
And thousands of lives have been saved.
Hey, Carol, we're a great team.
We're a great item.
Space technology.
This is what's in it for you.
The plane was on its final approach into the airport in Honduras when it crashed and exploded in flames. At least 132 people are believed to have died. Only 14 survived. The Honduran plane, a Boeing 727, was approaching the capital of Tegucigalpa yesterday when it crashed into the hills, spewing wreckage all around. Jane Whitney reports from Tegucigalpa.
They came from places like Miami and Managua, hoping for the best, but fearing and expecting the worst. Families of those passengers presumed dead in the worst airplane disaster in Honduran history came to help officials identify the victims. Yesterday, rescue workers pulled at least 132 bodies from the wreckage of the Boeing 727, which exploded without warning just minutes before landing. There is still confusion today over the exact death toll. A raging fire had engulfed the plane, thwarting efforts to identify the dead. But U.S. officials are standing by the number of American lives lost and saved in the tragedy.
Our latest information is that there were 15 Americans on board the aircraft, and we believe there are as many as 3 who survived, but this information is still preliminary.
2 of those survivors have been airlifted to burn treatment centers in the United States. Eugene Van Dyke, a State Department official based in Honduras, went to Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio, Texas. Curtis Schaefer is recuperating at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami, Florida. Meanwhile, National Transportation Safety Board and Boeing airline personnel arrived here today to help Hondurans find out what caused the crash. Sasa Airlines speculates that thick fog and fierce winds buffeting the plane on its approach to an airport known here as a pilot's worst nightmare could have played a role. With short runways set deep in a circle of mountains, the airport is precarious to negotiate even in good weather. Clues to the cause may also be found in the aircraft's black box flight recorder, which was sent off to Washington, D.C. today for analysis. In the final analysis, a survivor named Raul Argueta, who piloted the ill-fated flight, may hold the key to this disaster. But he's recovering from injuries sustained in the crash, and so far, he's not talking. Jane Whitney, NBC News, Tegucigalpa, Honduras.
NASA is cutting short the mission of the Space Shuttle Atlantis, cutting it by 2 orbits. The touchdown will come earlier than planned tomorrow at Edwards Air Force Base in California. The reason? High winds are predicted at the landing site in the Mojave Desert tomorrow afternoon. Flight Commander Don Williams said today that the crew members managed to accomplish everything they set out to do despite the early landing. Among the experiments was a measurement of the Earth's depleted ozone layer, and the crew deployed the Jupiter-bound unmanned space probe Galileo.
Just a fraction of what we spend dining out could help pick up the tab for a good cause. A small part of what we spend on sports could help keep our community in shape. Or some of our time on the phone could help answer society's problems. Won't you get involved? By giving 5% of your income and volunteering 5 hours per week, you can really help your community. This year, make it your goal to give 5. What you get back is immeasurable.
You can do school, or you can do drugs. But you really can't do both. If you choose school, you get to go as far as your talents will take you. If you choose drugs, you get to go nowhere. And maybe get AIDS, get busted, even get killed in the bargain. The more you think about what getting an education gets you, and what you miss getting hooked, the more you know you really have no choice.
Yo, Alf here. Apparently some chowderheads out there aren't taking care of this planet. They're messing up public lands. They're littering the beaches and vandalizing the parks. Look, folks, public lands are not like pizzas. You just can't pick up the phone and order more. So let's take care of our land. Let's save the planet. Call me and promise you'll help. I'll send you a bunch of neat stuff. It's my way of saying thanks. It's an acknowledgement of your concern. It's a bribe.
Dear Chris, this is a nightmare. I wish I'd never left the States. I don't believe they threw me in jail for a couple of lousy joints. I thought being an American, they couldn't hold me here. But the embassy says it can't get me out. This isn't America. They have their own laws here. I could be in jail a year before I even go to trial. I'm scared. I don't know when I'm coming home.
Drugs. A one-way ticket. A message from the U.S. Department of State.
Let's go to East Germany now. Meetings and demonstrations demanding change, more freedom continue. People there determined to keep up the pressure on the communist leaders who have made some changes in style and promise others of substance. One example that can be seen already is television. Arthur Kent has been monitoring that.
An East German worker tells off a member of the ruling Communist Politburo and does it on state television. The exchange highlighted coverage of last night's protest in East Berlin. Unprecedented openness in a state where dissent has been stifled for 40 years. Until now, government control has been everywhere. The government itself nowhere to be seen. Aside from the gray facade of party headquarters and rare appearances by aging leader Erich Honecker, East Germany's Communist Party stayed out of sight, even while the people called on it to come out and talk. Then Honecker resigns, and his replacement, Egon Krenz, seems everywhere in the official media, promising economic reform, freer travel for East Germans. But his attempts at Gorbachev-style dialogue with the people can land him in trouble. You've got to think about what the people want, this machinist tells him, their problems, their desires. Krenz says, we've got to work together. Sure, the machinist answers, there are no presents. East German Glasnost has scored some successes. Krenz is photographed with Bishop Werner Leicht, a proponent of reform, who says he welcomes the new party boss's promises for change.
It's a smooth publicity campaign, but East Germans are well acquainted with deceptive political packaging. This is, after all, the same Communist Party that used to claim its citizens enjoyed the finest life in Eastern Europe.
Asked about Krenz's debut speech as party leader, this woman said it was a joke. They think only of power at the top. It's too late for them, this man says. The Communist Party has missed its chance. Reformers within the party hope to change that. Men like Hans Modrow, party leader for Dresden and a favorite of Mikhail Gorbachev. Modrow is pressing Krenz and his hardline colleagues to deliver on their promises. As they've shown again this weekend, the people will accept nothing less. Arthur Kent, NBC News, Berlin.
And this note from the Soviet Union. Earlier this month, a newspaper there published a poll on the most popular lawmakers in the country. Among the 37 top names on the list, Mikhail Gorbachev's was not to be seen. An angry Gorbachev suggested the editor of the newspaper should resign. The editor refused. And so, this weekend, his journal published another poll, this one on Gorbachev's popularity. It showed that 66% of those questioned backed the Soviet leader. The editor says political pressure played no role in his decision to run the poll, but he still has his job.
There are questions anybody can answer. And questions nobody can answer. Then there are all those questions in between. Important questions your academic, school, or public librarian can help you answer. When nobody else can. Any questions?
Way back in 1988, when I was young, the American Cancer Society taught me that a low-fat, high-fiber diet could reduce the risk of cancer. I gave up some of my vices, didn't drink too much, ate my vegetables, especially those rich in vitamins A and C, and every bite was delicious. Today, I'm 82 and still having a blast.
Ready for warp speed, Commander.
Execute.
The American Cancer Society knows eating right can reduce the risk of cancer.
This is what it feels like to have an asthma attack. It's like breathing through a very thin straw. Asthma is a serious lung disease that can affect people of all ages. The American Lung Association helps people with asthma learn how they can lead normal lives. Asthma can be controlled. For more information, call your local American Lung Association. It's a matter of life and breath. The American Lung Association, the Christmas seal people.
And finally this evening, the people of San Francisco and Oakland, California have lived through so much this past week, they now face a new challenge tomorrow, the start of another work week. Correspondent David Burrington forecasts what they can expect.
This was the last morning commute before the quake.
They're still commuting here at the Bay Bridge, Lloyd.
Normal traffic is bad enough. Now the area's main link between Oakland and San Francisco is severed. Repairs will take more than 3 months. Starting tomorrow, 70,000 people will have to find some other way to get to work, and officials fear gridlock.
We really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. If people respond well, there's still going to be a lot of problems. If they all try to get out on the highways, there's going to be chaos.
2 alternative bridges can't handle the crush.
To give you an idea of what we face,
We'd need 2 more lanes in each direction on each bridge. So we obviously can't do that.
Other key freeway segments are closed and in danger of collapsing. All this will probably make 2 million commuters late to work. Executives from the area's biggest employers will meet on Tuesday to see how they can relieve the pressure.
Whether it's ferry boats or van pooling or flexible working hours or going to fewer meetings or whatever else it is, everybody's got to understand that their little contribution will add up to making some impact. But the problem is going to be terrible, terrible for weeks.
The subway system, which runs under the bay, is putting on extra trains, and that will relieve some of the pressure. It can handle an extra 5,000 people during rush hours if they can pack in tight enough.
I think it's going to be horrendous.
Are you uneasy about traveling through the tunnel at a time like
always.
this?
Always.
What are you afraid of?
Caving in or something stupid.
The grim search for bodies will continue for another week in the debris of the Marina District, and it will take months to tear down and haul away 60 shattered houses. Those who have seen their lives collapse, along with their homes, are salvaging what they can, however they can.
This is good wine, and this is fair wine, but it's all yours. The first person who'll come help me take my bed.
Memorial services for quake victims were held today. At one service, a person who was homeless long before the quake spoke out.
We have been homeless for a while, and all of a sudden, the marina over here is homeless, and now they're ready to do something about it.
Nearly 1,000 of the homeless poor, many forced out of welfare hotels by the quake, were moved out of the city's Moscone Center today to make way for a convention. David Burrington, NBC News, San Francisco.
It has indeed been quite a week for all those Californians who lived through that earthquake and its aftershocks, for the many hundreds of journalists who have covered the event, and indeed for the millions and millions of people across this country and around the world who followed the events in California in a very real, personal, direct way, felt that they were there, too. We'll not forget this past week for a long time to come. That's our report on this Sunday evening. Tom Brokaw will be here tomorrow. I'm Garrett Gutley. Good night for NBC News.
In love, on the trail of a brutal killer.
Rape? Yeah.
A trail that could lead her back to her lover.
I'm not like that.
Felicia Rashad.
He's guilty, and I know it.
Philip Michael Thomas.
Got the wrong man on trial, Lynn.
The world premiere thriller, False Witness. Monday.
I'm Jane Pauley. This week on Today, food contamination on long-haul trucks. Also, H. Ross Perot, Jack Lemmon, and Mary Stuart Masterson this week on Today.
Riccardi Nissan Olds Hyundai is clearing all 89s now.
Today at Tom Peterson's, quality furniture you can afford. Choose this early American sofa and love seat, only $4.99. This contemporary sofa and love seat, only $4.99. This traditional camelback sofa and love seat, only $4.89.
$89. I said only $68.89. And that's not just for 2 or 3. Choose from 10 Sentras or 10 trucks. Each only $68.89. Don't worry about paying too much. Be happy. See us at Beaverton Nissan.